Yeah, when you're feeling down and motivated in the midweek, we got the guys here to make your life complete. Little John, Brandon, Cody, Carly, they're coming in to keep you motivated all week. New episode, same time every week. Don't gotta wait long for the next one to release. So don't go away, sit down, take a seat, enjoy midweek motivation with John and Carly. Hey.
Midweek motivation.
Let's go!
Yes, you're the professional. That's why we brought you. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to Midweek Motivation. Real conversations with real people about a very real God. If you're not already a part of our group, you can text the word MOTIVATE to 540-900-3838. That'll put you in our group. And you'll get super special notifications like the show's about to start. And you can actually like click it. And then the show's actually there now. It was a really cool thing. Finally figured out my timing today. It was great.
On the app?
On the app. Yeah. So there's like an app notification that just pops up on your phone now.
I saw it.
Dustin must have got it because he just sat down.
It was right about time. We should discuss the elephant in the room. Number one, Cody is back on the show.
Cody. Am I the elephant?
Right? You are officially the elephant. Okay. I hate to break it to you, but you are the elephant in the room. Cody's back. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
A lot of concrete to pour. A lot of blocks to sell.
That's the story anyway.
Right? a lot of family to take care of.
Yeah.
All those kids.
All them kids.
Yeah. You ever figure out how they keep showing up?
I'm getting close. If one more shows up, I think I got it.
Getting warm.
I don't recommend it.
Oh,
I don't recommend it. Four's a great
Four's
a great place to stop.
We have already veered off.
I mean, it doesn't take long at all. That's why there's only like one page of notes, and it's doesn't even have a backside. Because I thought there's no way that if I actually write notes and like bring like real focused content, like
when
we're
I was
going to be here
reading it,
forever.
I did turn it over, and I'm like, that's unusual.
There's supposed to be a back there. Yeah, no, none of that. And Brandon's back. Missed you last week.
Thank you.
It was,
Thank you.
I always
Out of
joke.
town.
I always joke like when I do this by myself, like, all right, before I sit down, I was thinking like, all right, I'm just gonna make this quick. Like nobody wants to listen to me and it was like 45 minutes to an hour. It's like, dang it, I gotta shut up. I talk way too long, but good fun. And it turns out like I have this. I think the show when I do it by myself keeps turning into like this like Darren's book club kind of thing because I always have like I did the same thing with like Celebration of Discipline at the end of 2024 and then started talking about Pray First last week a little bit and it's like dang it I don't want this to be Darren's book club. This is not the way this is supposed to go.
Pray First is good.
Right?
Get after it.
It's a good book. I got it for free, which is fantastic.
That's all.
Can't do much better than that. And if I keep mentioning it, Pray First, Chris Hodges. One of these days, Chris Hodges is going to see this, and Highlands is going to sponsor us.
Oh, that's
right.
it.
So one of these days, I tried a couple times last week. It didn't work out. The actual elephant in the room. Which hopefully, that's not offensive, but you are wearing gray. Our illustrious, fearless. What other adjectives can we come up with for him?
Smelly.
Smelly. I mean, you notice I do have a table between us.
Yeah.
Fearless leader, lead pastor.
There we go.
Dustin Spencer.
All right.
First time. Give him some love in the chat. First time on Midweek.
Hey, everybody.
First time watching the show.
Oh, no, I've seen it many times.
You know what?
I use it to fall asleep, too.
You know what? You're probably not alone. There's probably a whole lot of people. I'll tell you what, last week would have been a great one to fall asleep to. There was a whole lot of like me talking. It's probably a great one to fall asleep to.
I kept throwing comments at you just to give me something to talk to.
Well, so the first time I ever did it alone, I think Sarah was on, and she was doing the same thing for me. I was like, thank you so much, because otherwise I'm just talking to
One way.
Yeah, there's nothing like talking to a wall. Like
I can do that with myself for hours. I mean, I'm so interesting that.
That's why you're here.
I don't know about the interesting part, but he can.
So shameless plug, when we did our first episode of What's Next, our new show that we're about to shoot another episode of, because we're about to end a sermon series.
I don't have an invite yet.
Yeah, well, one of
You
these
missed
days.
the
it
last
me?
sermon series.
I was going to send it to your admin, but she's a little preoccupied
That's
right
true.
now. But we're going to shoot another episode, and I remember when we sat down, we're like, all right, it's gonna be like 30 minutes. Like, let's not go longer than that. Nobody wants to listen to us longer than that. And like 45 minutes later, after the camera died and quit recording, and we had to start over. Like, we even lost about 10 minutes, I think, of content.
This time, I think we should try to instead of having people speed up the podcast, we should just try to talk that much faster. So we'll do it in 2 speed without actually speeding up.
I think I can at least talk 1.5.
Yeah.
So my question for Dustin is, how are you surviving last week and this week without the administrator here?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any idea what's going on in the church?
The thing is, I've had a lot fewer meetings that I've gone to. I'm not saying that I wasn't invited, but
they might have just gotten along without you.
So it's been great.
You made it here like even early.
Did I?
A few minutes early.
I thought it was like really late.
No, you were like perfect timing. That's why I put you there. That way, when you inevitably, your meeting went long and you inevitably like came in, like once we were talking, like you could just jump right in. It's gonna be fantastic. But
clerical, I can hear you guys. I can't hear myself.
You can't hear yourself at all?
This guy.
See, he's upset.
But
about
I think that's
that.
on
I was
purpose.
going to tell you to turn his microphone down so he can't hear himself talk, so he wouldn't be talking the whole time.
You think that would stop him?
Oh,
Look,
gosh.
Most of the job is talking.
Yeah.
Right?
That is true.
Like when you think of a pastor, like a pastor's job, like
but I don't get no respect around here. This guy Neiman, who runs our board, I'm preaching and he's literally muting me. Exactly. Thanks.
I will say you're the first person I've ever muted, but in solidarity with Neiman, one of the best volunteers we have. Shout out to Neiman. I don't know if he ever watches the show. Maybe he's tuned in once. We'll see. But that's what we're saying. I remember it was a little bit less than a year ago. I remember thinking, like, Carly and I had this running joke, like, Dustin doesn't watch Midweek. Like, he's never turned this on. There's no way.
Not true.
And the day I found out is you texted me. It was like, Midweek was great today. I was like, that might be the first time he's ever watched it.
Which, you know what, the context you can take from that is it was great today.
See, that's why I chose to believe that was just the first time you'd ever watched. Right? So, like, it must always be great, but today especially. Like, I watched it and want to tell you.
I'm not listening to this one, that's for sure.
You don't want to listen to yourself? You don't go back. Okay, so be honest. You don't go back every Sunday in the afternoon.
Every single Sunday I do. I listen to every single word because and the worship and the announcements and everything because I'm paranoid that we've said something wrong or we could do it better. Or
something that's going to get clipped out on YouTube and make you the wrong kind of famous.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. A lot of time I'm preaching. I don't really think about what I'm saying. I'm thinking about the next thing I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, well, you guys have probably learned this. And sometimes things come out of my mouth and I'm like, that's funny. But if you do that at the wrong time, then you could go down a very dark hole really quick. And so I'm not good at holding the poker face. And so if I say something that's inappropriate and funny and I stop, game over. So so I listen back to make sure that I didn't say anything like Carly did one time, and we won't go there.
That and a couple years ago, somebody caught a weird picture of Dustin, and it got into our life group chat, and then it became all kinds of memes. We'll have to send you some of those so you can put them up on the episode.
That's not.
We usually try to get a picture of whoever's preaching for the thumbnail when it goes out later for Sundays and all that stuff. And you always, I don't know if you noticed this, we're going to make you really self-conscious about your hands now. So you always do this thing. You always have your hands in a way that looks like you're talking about how big your fish was. Always. And everybody does it. But
all I've seen online for the last 24 hours is all of these Hitler signs that everybody's doing. And I'm like, I'm certain I do that. I'm 100% sure. Like, if you slow down anyway, random thought.
It was one of those.
Wow.
Yeah.
One of those days. Speaking of Sunday, all right, one of my favorite things that happened on Sunday was you making the organ sound.
Oh, yeah.
That is one of the best things, and I wish I would have thought about it. I wish I would have clipped it, and we could have just, I could
You know
have
what
made it a
the
little
worst
sound.
thing was? Listening to the congregation make the organ sound, because there was weird sounds that came out of people's mouths when I said try to do that.
I was backstage because we had a song at the end when you must have explained what they were doing. And by the time I got around and they're all, what in the world has he got them doing?
Oh yeah. Well, see, what was sad is like we have
You can't miss. You can't miss. You never know what you're gonna miss.
we can do the organ sound. Like we've got all of the opportunity.
I didn't want to do it that way.
Right. It was much more fun. It was much more fun the way you did it. Like I love.
Are we going to talk about prayer, or are we going to talk about organ sounds? Good grief!
See, you must have never seen the show. We're only 9 minutes in. We haven't gotten to anything
we
good
don't start
yet.
talking about the good stuff to like 3
Till
or
we're
4
out of
minutes
time.
left.
Once everybody else is done with their lunch break, and they have to.
They've all checked out. No one's listening anymore. Let's get to the content. So.
Yeah, let's do something useful now that everybody's done listening. But yeah, Sunday was a great day. The third week in our Neighbors and Nations, not Neighbors to Nations.
That's right.
Right?
That's
Which
right.
kudos for never saying it incorrectly. It's fantastic. Kind of like what we did to you at Christmas time with the adventure calendar.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I started that, and I can no longer say it right. So
It was fantastic. But you never said it wrong in public. No one ever heard you say it wrong.
nah, that can't be possible.
Somehow, I'm telling you, we recorded it all. There's no record.
Well, okay, all right.
You know, so
We'll take it.
We're gonna go with that.
Yeah.
always good stuff. A couple things coming up. I did make notes, and I have them in front of me, and I should probably actually look at them. We are on, what's it, today 17?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
I think today's day 17.
That's what happens when you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
That's doggone right.
I mean,
that's
like,
doggone right.
4:30 in the morning to get here at 6. I mean,
Right.
They just all run together.
And I'll tell you what, our kudos to our worship team, especially our vocalists, right? Singing at 6 a.m. is a different animal.
Yep.
Than just playing the drums or anything else, like singing that early. Like,
This morning was the first morning that Marshall overslept,
right?
and that was hilarious. I mean, he was
I
sliding.
can't believe it hasn't happened more to
5:58.
somebody
Yeah.
else. Like 17 days and everybody's been on time. We've started within our 1 minute grace period, every single time, like almost like basically it doesn't start at 6 o'clock. It starts at 6:01.
6:01.
But
That's
it's
a
been
term at
good.
church grace period.
Yeah, it's a great,
For 6 o'clock in the morning.
Prayer has been good, bright and early. The Sunday evenings have been good. If you're, I guess Sunday evening's over. I guess we're not doing it anymore. I guess we're done. So if you haven't joined us in person yet, there's still time. It's a few more days until Saturday. Saturday will be our last one, 6 a.m. It's been good. It's been a sweet time to be together, and I'll tell you, it's been a struggle for me because I'm super distracted. But it's been cool just to have that time set aside and be around other people who are praying and praying for the same things. We have our prayer focus, every single day. I was gonna say per week, but we've been doing it every day for
Yeah, I think
17 days.
For me, the first time we've done this in person like this, and the impact is sometimes just watching people in their kind of their solidarity and in their silence and how they are taking this seriously. Because what else are you going to do? I mean, you got up this morning, you might as well pray.
Yeah.
And it really is powerful. We see the same people about every day, and it's hard to. I mean, I haven't talked to them like what has God done, but it's clear that it's a valuable thing, and it's it moves my heart when I see people getting serious about prayer.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, if you've been joining us online, if you've been joining us in person, if you're watching now, if God has done something, if you've seen an answer to prayer, anything significant that's happened during this 21 days of prayer, we'd love to hear about it. So you can text our number, 540-900-3838. Just text us a story. It can be long. I think it'll cut you off at some point. But send us a quick little story about, what God has done, what you've seen, answers to prayer, all those things. Through this prayer and fasting time. I really think long term we're going to see some more growth in the church because of it.
No question.
And
it's not there's the two benefits. It's discipline and results.
Yeah.
I mean, the value is in the discipline of doing it as well. So it's not just like, okay, well, let's see what happens, and if nothing happens, then we'll not do this again. That's it's sort of like go into the gym. It's the discipline that's going to teach you how to have like a more significantly connected spiritual walk. And then it's also, hey, there's an added benefit, which is God answers prayer, and we've seen it happen around here a whole bunch.
And I think God's moving through the children downstairs right now.
That's right. Oh yeah, I can hear that.
it's usually about this time they run through the lobby.
If they do, I'm going to hide.
I don't know where you're going to go. We ain't got a lot of room to hide. But definitely send in those prayer or those answers to prayer, those stories. We want to hear about those. And we want to be able to share those and celebrate those with you as well. But today's day 17. We'll be back here in the morning as well. So if you can't join us in person, there's a lot of folks that have been joining us online. There's a little over 20 every single day that's been getting up early, tuning in online.
Oh, that's shortchanging it. It's been 30 plus.
You think so?
Yeah, I've counted them every day. That's terrible. But, it's serious. And actually, I had something interesting about that is that obviously the size of church we are, not really an impressive amount of people that come out in the morning. And that's totally fine because we don't care about the numbers. But I did find out from a pastor buddy of ours that has a little bit larger church than ours. And they've been doing it for years. And they have between 50 and 60. And so he was kind of encouraging us that it isn't for everybody, but for those that come, it's a sweet thing. So not worried about taking attendance, but it's more than 20.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people that...
Or the numbers.
Yeah, don't care about the numbers. It's more than 20.
I think there's plenty of people that would be here if they could. Like if their schedules, their schedules don't allow
People
it.
join us online and stuff, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're like second-grade citizens.
So one of the awesome things about Dustin is I've dealt with Dustin for several years on the business side of church.
Dealt
Worked
with
with
is right-
Dustin
right word.
on the business side of church, and the man truly doesn't care about numbers, but knows all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is very good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, little numbers, not big numbers. Once you get past 3 or 4 digits, and it's
Yeah.
not.
That's what calculators and spreadsheets
I
are
guess.
for.
That's right.
Yeah, we don't need all that.
And when did they start adding letters to the numbers? Anyway.
We have a button for that.
Yeah, there's no
Not
there's no
algebra. My wife
button.
she's the algebra teacher, and my kids are good at it and stuff. But no, just
not me.
pure
Yeah.
add it, subtract it, sometimes multiply it.
That's why I married somebody smarter than me.
Yeah.
That was the entire reason.
All 4 of us did.
Yeah.
I know all 4 of us. We all did.
We got a call from my son's 3rd grade teacher complaining that he was teaching other kids algebra in school.
And then charging.
How dare
I don't know. I'm like, and so what?
What's the
the
problem?
problem
there? I mean, they
We're
weren't
not
smoking.
teaching algebra yet. Okay.
how dare he?
It's like, all right.
Teaching algebra. Man. Well, hey, Monday was a very historic day.
Monday was a very
Monday was a historic day, right? It happens every 4 years.
every 4 years.
So we make history every 4 years.
Sometimes
Inauguration
not
day.
so historic.
Inauguration day.
My first thought was when I woke up Monday morning was that song from Frozen when she wakes up. It's Coronation Day. That was the first image that popped in my head.
I thought you were going to say you might be deported.
No. Well, hey, now that you've said that live on the internet, you can start looking for a new staff member. Thanks for pointing that out. It just doxed me right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Mike's still here.
Can't shake him.
he's probably more American than
What
most
is
Americans.
happening here?
He just won't admit to it. If you have no idea what we're talking about, God bless you. You're
I
very
don't.
lucky. And what were we saying first time last time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I
anyways,
apologize.
Monday was a historic day, and Brandon had this fantastic idea that we thought we would test
I'm our
Y'all.
resident
and us.
president expert. In
Okay.
Here.
Resident president expert.
We need a little bit of
Yeah.
presidential trivia.
Do you
Let's
have a theme
see.
song? Mm-hmm. Let's go
that's
for
all
the
you get.
organ sounds
was it.
again. But
So, Donald Trump was the 2nd president to serve non-consecutive terms. I'll start you off with an easy one. You've heard it a lot. Who was the first president to serve non-consecutive terms?
This is where I wish there wasn't a delay. 'cause
I'll
then
say it's
people can get the
Calvin
answer in the
Coolidge
chat.
because that's my favorite name of a president. So
I got nothing.
So Calvin Coolidge wasn't even a full-term president,
yeah, I don't know. I just
but it was Grover
Taft.
Cleveland.
Grover, my
was the
man,
name of it.
Grove,
Grover Cleveland.
my man.
With Benjamin Harrison in the middle.
There you go.
Let's see. How many presidents served that weren't elected president?
4.
3.
Sounds good to me.
9.
Ooh,
9.
crazy.
Can you name all 9?
This is a,
4 presidents have died from natural causes. 4 were assassinated, and 1 resigned.
one resign.
Yep.
How about that?
There was 1 person who served as president who was never elected president or vice president. Does anybody know who it was?
Joe Biden.
I don't think he technically served.
We'll be right back.
I apologize. Y'all are never going to invite me back.
Luckily,
George Washington?
Zuckerberg is not fact checking and censoring things.
George
anymore,
Washington
so
was
Facebook's all
elected
different.
president.
I didn't know if it was just like, hey, you're the guy.
Let's see. What was the question again? Start again.
There was one president who served as president who was not elected president or vice president. And it's not
It's been a
one
while
of the
since I've
guys
seen
way,
Hamilton.
way back.
So
Hamilton.
Hamilton.
not
No,
in
that's
there.
not Hamilton.
Hamilton was not a president.
I know that. I was making a joke.
I got nothing.
Nothing.
Gerald Ford.
Interesting.
Yep. So Richard Nixon's vice president was Sparrow Agnew, who resigned to some bribery and money laundering.
Isn't that cool?
And
You'll have
then
that.
Richard Nixon
Given.
appointed Gerald Ford the vice president, and then Richard Nixon resigned of office. Gerald Ford became president.
All right, so since we're on a delay, we have an answer for the first one, and Rachel got it right. It's the only one that answered.
Cleveland.
Grover Cleveland.
Very
I'm assuming
good.
that's the answer to the first question.
It was. It
Unless
was.
it's one of the other ones.
All right,
that's
last
wrong,
one.
but-
Y'all never get this, but y'all can take a stab at it.
All right.
Well, we didn't get into the
Who
others.
served the least amount of time as president?
Oh, it's the William Henry Harrison.
Yes. How long was it?
Like
107
days. Like
32 days.
that's it. Yeah, because
And
he didn't wear his coat. Boys, put your coats on. It is cold.
You don't need it.
He
You
had,
need to wear a coat.
He had
You will
the
catch a cold.
longest inaugural speech by far in presidential history.
And the
It was
shortest
like
presidential-
8,400 words. It was like an hour and 45 minutes, and served for 32 days because it was bad weather and he refused to wear a coat and gloves. Caught pneumonia, died 32 days later.
See what happens when you talk too long?
Goodness gracious.
I mean,
All right. Now that we've lost our whole audience,
Who were the 4 presidents assassinated? Last one.
Lincoln.
John F. Kennedy,
Okay.
Lincoln,
4? There's 4.
assassinated.
Hoover?
No.
Calvin Coolidge.
So Calvin Coolidge was a vice president who came in when William
Taft.
McKinley
McKinley.
was assassinated. And then there was
That other
What
guy.
about McKinley?
the cat.
Garfield?
Garfield.
Wow.
And
Thank you, American school system. You've done well for
Yeah.
us.
Believe it or not,
At least for him.
I'm
Ask me
kind of
about the
I'm kind of
Pythagorean
a
theorem.
nerd on it. I could name all 45
no kidding.
presidents.
Man. Hey,
And
you
yes,
know what?
I said 45 presidents.
Yes, 45.
See, the good thing is you don't have to know these things. You just have to know people that do know these things.
Exactly.
Right? And then you can be intelligent. And, well, or go on a podcast and show
My
people
kids
that
were
you're not.
confused why Trump had to be 45 and 47.
Uh-huh.
Why couldn't he just be 45 again? But, I didn't have a great answer for that. I just said,
Because numbers don't work.
Yeah.
You can't go 45, 46, 45.
That's right.
Just throw a wrench in the whole thing.
That's right. Yeah.
then you said, pray about it.
Right?
That segue.
That's
All
exactly
right.
it. I was trying to work out a segue. That was great. Fantastic. Speaking of prayer, they did pray. I think there was like 4 or 5 different pastors or ministers,
Oh, goodness.
clergy.
People
There
of the
was
faith.
good and there was some bad.
there was some praying that happened, and the last thing I'll say about the inauguration, because it ruins my segue. As the tech guy, can I just express how happy
Oh,
it
my
made
gosh.
me when that track didn't work for Carrie Underwood? Right. Number one, shout out to Carrie Underwood, like professional, fantastic
Yeah.
talent, like her and the whole choir that sang with her.
I don't know. It
was
took her too
amazing.
long to get jumped in on it. So
Oh yeah, 15 seconds. She should have just jumped in on it. But so shout out to the tech team. Stuff happens, but can I tell you how happy it made me that at that level of professionalism, things like that go wrong.
Cody, you know this. There is a amount of time that you dump it, and you say, "All right, there's
8
no
seconds
track."
is
Yeah,
about
and
it.
it is
Yes.
not a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Where so
I was yelling at the TV, start the track. Then you roll the dice on if it's
Marshall,
going
I
to
can
be the
see
right
Marshall
one.
sitting at home doing one of these.
But in her defense, like if she just starts singing, she doesn't know if she's going to get tackled by Secret Service or what's going to happen there because of all that going on. So,
Right?
Anyway,
Yes. So be nice to your tech people. They make mistakes and stuff happens to all of us.
I was never more
right?
proud of our sound and tech teams.
Wasn't that fantastic?
That's
and,
great.
And then that same Tuesday morning. Was that yesterday? What's today? Today's Wednesday because I'm here. So that Tuesday morning, we were there for the prayer service, and like something was breaking and not working right. Like right after I told Marshall how happy it made me. Like, all right, that's karma. Karma? Anyway, speaking of prayer.
That doesn't exist.
Reel it in.
We are in the midst of our 21 days of prayer. It is day 17, and I wanted to kind of continue our conversation on prayer. And Dustin, you've come up a couple times when we've talked about prayer on midweek.
Oh, boy.
You may not even know this or remember this, right? I'm sure you hang on every word that gets said.
Yeah,
on the show.
I've memorized all the.
I believe
which episode? Because I memorized.
It was that one.
Okay, yeah.
That one back there. And there was, I'll give you a little bit of props. I give you props when you're not here, so I'll give you props while you are here. You are one of those people that I think does prayer in a normal voice the best, right? So we talked a little bit about this last week, and I think
You don't pray in King James,
right? Everybody has a lot of people have this customer service voice, right? So my wife and I, my sister-in-law makes fun of us all the time, and our kids make fun of us. Like we're on the phone with people like that you don't know, like you have a customer service voice. Voice goes up, and you just talk differently, right? And a lot of people have that like a prayer voice. It gets real reverent and use different words and all these things. And I'll give you props for this, right? You can take it or leave it, but you're one of the best at just, we could be having a conversation, and we've done this in meetings. Like we're just having a conversation, and then you start praying, and your tone doesn't change. It's just, very conversational. And what I think is good about that, like if you pray in King James, or if you pray like you have this, a prayer voice, I'm not making fun of that. It's not a bad thing. What I think is cool about that is so many people are intimidated by prayer, and they don't know how to pray, which is a little bit of what we're talking about today, is because they feel like they have to pray, like they're a pastor on a stage, and, they have to say certain things and they have to, speak correctly and pray correctly, right? And what I think I love about that example, it caught me a little off guard the first time I heard you do it. It's like, oh wait, he's praying. Like we're praying now. We're talking to Jesus, right? And if you've been in church for a length of time, you've probably heard people talk about like prayer's just a conversation. We're just having a conversation with our Father. And so I love when I hear people that actually do that, right?
Yeah.
And so kudos to you.
Well, I'm not going to take credit. Thank you for saying that, but. First of all, there is a passage, and normally I'm good at recalling, but I can't. It's
I didn't prep you.
But, yeah,
I'll let you off the hook.
Bible says not to have performative prayer, so that's a discipline I think that people can work on. And I'm not saying that I'm thankful that you said that, but I'm not saying I do this all that well. But I think the challenge that I've been given by other prayer warriors around me is I ask for somebody to pray for me, or maybe somebody's praying in the context of a small group or something. And can't you tell when it's not a show, and can't you tell when they do it all the time?
Yeah.
Like it's just so natural. Like and I know that's hard for some people just to do it out in front of people, and I'm blessed with a not care gene, that doesn't bother me at all. But I've learned that. I've seen people that they're talking, and then all of a sudden they're talking to God. And it's the exact same, and I think what that is learned. I think if you pray for, let's say, 20 or 30 minutes a day, or even less than that, really pray.
Yeah.
You stop using phrases and I don't know, performative language, I guess is the right thing to say, and you start talking, because you're not going to perform for 20 minutes. I mean, over time, you kind of just get used to talking to God, and it's kind of the way you do when you're broken and you have to talk to God.
Right.
That's when you start talking like you're yourself,
Right.
and you're not trying to show off for God or anybody else.
Yeah.
And I think that's just what I've seen, and then I say, well, I want that kind of prayer life. And so it's nothing we do around our church really is for the sake of doing it. I like to say we don't play church. We try to do what is real, and not fake. And I think that it does kind of bother me sometimes when you can tell people go into the voice. And I'll give you like a thought on that example, and that maybe I learned this too, is when I was in sales, you could always tell the bad salespeople, because I got the opportunity to interview a lot of salespeople. Yeah, you could always tell the bad salespeople because when they go into the sales pitch, they talk differently, they inflect differently, they laugh differently, and it was like, gosh,
let's put a pin in that. Table that.
Exactly. And I was like, oh goodness gracious, I want to be a lot more natural than that. Yeah. And I think that was part of the not caring gene that's in there. And I'm not picking on people that have a difficult time praying out loud, because I get it. But I think that I was saying, I don't want to act like somebody I'm not in front of God.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I will say Brother Glenn. Now, the man can pray.
That's it.
Yeah.
But when I heard him say rock and roll and awesome, I was like, it's really just, you just say whatever is on your heart, and it'll be honored. Like,
that's right.
If you can say rock and roll on the stage on a Sunday service, I'm like, I'm all right. Like,
I've said a lot weirder things than that.
Yeah. And I can't even come up with something good like rock. I need a catchphrase. But
you need a prayer catchphrase, like Brother Glenn does.
Goodness. Won't he do it?
Yeah. I think that's the key, though. I think you hit it on the head with what you were talking about when you mentioned Brother Glenn. Like, the key is the reason that people have that conversational tone with God is because the intimacy that they've developed with Him, right? Like, it's not uncomfortable. Like, they don't feel like they have to put up this front, not because like, oh, I'm going to speak conversationally. Like, it's not necessarily an intentional thing that's happened. It's they've built intimacy with God, like you were saying. If you pray 20, 30 minutes a day, every single day, and you build that discipline, that's just what happens.
Yeah, and I'm not claiming this for myself, but it is the people that are the people that are praying a lot that have that comfortability. I mean, it's just, and not praying in front of people as a performative thing a lot, but in their prayer closet.
And it takes time. I think that's the key. So we look at a lot of those folks that we look at and hold up as like great prayer warriors. They tend to be older, right? Because they've tended to walk with Jesus for a longer amount of time. But it's not by virtue of their age. Like, old people pray better. Like, it's people that have walked with Jesus for a long time.
That's because they're closer to meeting Him, so they really want to talk to Him a whole lot.
And they've likely seen the result.
That's right. They've been through it.
Prayer.
Yeah. Well, and it too, I mean, I'm not that old, but I mean, as I've gotten older, the older you get, the more I think you tend to realize your need for God, right? I mean, in my 20s, like, I was indestructible. Like, there was nothing I couldn't do. Like, Courtney and I were laughing the other day, because we had all this ice, all over the parking lot, all over the place. And, we were coming here for prayer, and the whole parking lot's ice, at least part of it. And we were getting out of the van. We had parked just straight up on the ice, because that makes sense. And we were getting out of the car, and I told her, I said, look, if you fall, like, if we fall on this ice now, we are not going to recover the same way in our mid-30s as we would have in our mid-20s.
And I'm not going to come get you at the risk of me falling.
This is not going to go well for us. Like, you got to be careful, right?
Mid-30s.
As you get
youngins.
Hey, you remember those fondly?
I'm not even at the mid-30s.
I think I'm still in the mid. I'm just over halfway, so I'm still counting in the mids. But as you get older, it's like you recognize your infirmity. Is that the right word?
Fragility. Well, I would also say this: you learn to pray when you've sinned and you need forgiveness, and that's not that's not a prescription. Like, go sin and then
you'll
pray.
learn to pray better.
but you're talking about getting real. I mean, when you are broken and you're looking for forgiveness, and you don't think God could possibly forgive you, and so you stay there. That's when talking starts to really happen. And some of those groans that you don't even like you can't even form the words. But so there is value in that. I mean, you read Psalm 52, or is it 51, and listen to David just pour his heart out, and it's like, I get it. I totally get that. So
that was that's a passage Corinne was talking about the other day. I don't think you can go back and watch it now, but man, that was fantastic. And that was
She's a smart lady.
Yeah. Hey, you married well.
Yeah. Up.
Definitely.
That's the best way to marry. I don't know what that says about her, but
I'm a good salesperson.
Doesn't West Virginia come into play though? So.
I don't know. I mean, I can't speak.
lateral.
I can't say that. Hey guys, West Virginia.
we love West
you.
Virginia too. It's okay. But her walking through that was one of those. I think that was one of those real powerful moments for me in her talking about putting yourself in that. It's this great time of confession, and when you recognize the context in which David wrote that, like biggest mistakes of his life, like real turning point. Was some of the probably the worst things he's ever done in his life, and
I hope so.
It's the worst thing we know about, so we hope we know everything. But it's so cool to have her kind of unpack that a little bit and walk through these huge mistakes. And
It was 51, not 52. So
yeah. Well,
great one to memorize.
Yeah, that's a great one, and it's cool. I think the point she made, if you weren't there, was put yourself in there. It's this great prayer of confession.
Yeah,
right. And you don't have to be in the same situation he was in.
Let's
right.
hope not.
Yeah, hopefully you don't have to, right? But praying that prayer of confession, and I think that puts you in a spot of humility as well.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of things we want to cover while we've got you. First time, last time, right? We've got our
Most definitely.
illustrious lead pastor, right, as a resource.
Based
right?
on the comments, I'm guarantee it's the last time.
Like, well, as long as the show doesn't get canceled, we're
Yeah,
fine.
we'll find out.
But I think there's people that people know they should pray, right? If you're a believer, like most people know that they should pray. Like people know they should pray and read their Bible. Very few people are like surprised when you tell them that, right? Everybody knows they should do that, but I think there's things where like, hey, I know what I should do, but I don't know how to do it, right? So and I think a lot of people have a lot of anxiety when it comes to prayer, and there's all these questions. So we're going to let you answer a couple of them and give us some advice on how to do some of these things, right?
Best
So
I can.
a couple of these most common things, and we might help you out a little bit.
All right, thank you.
We figured you're a pro. So the first one that came to mind, the first one I think I hear this from people is like, how often should I pray? Like everybody has an opinion about how often you should pray. Like, well, you got to pray before you eat, right? You should always pray. Like, even when you're in a restaurant, you should always bow your head and pray, right? Everybody's got opinions. Other people say you should pray before you go to bed. You should pray in the morning. You should pray, on your drive to school. But like, if somebody were to ask you, like Pastor Dustin, lead Pastor Dustin, how often should I pray?
Yeah, there's one of the greatest church growth strategists in the history of the world wrote a whole bunch of books, and these books were to specific people, and his name was Paul, and he said you should pray all the time without ceasing,
right?
without stopping, and continually. 1 Thessalonians 5.
I may have put that in the notes. Yeah.
But that's a real kind of non-specific specific answer.
Right.
The thing is, and I might take this a different direction than what you intended the question to be, but I think authentic prayer is different than, let's say, required prayer or the prayers of a Muslim that prays 5 times a day, because if he doesn't see heaven. That's a different type of thing than talking to your Father. And so if you are habitual in your prayer, and the point is for you that you're checking a box, it doesn't matter how many times you pray, you're not going to connect with the heart of God. Yeah. God even said in Hebrews that he's not interested in these sacrifices. And yeah, we could apply physical things to that, but that's, that would be missing the point, that he's not interested if we check the boxes, if we say, hey, I need to pray 8 times this week. He's interested in our hearts. That's what Hebrews 9, 10, 11 is all about. And so what I would say is, if you haven't had deep, authentic like communication with God that you enjoy, then you haven't prayed.
Yeah.
And I would say one of the things that I've kind of been really dealing with recently is this guy Paul Washer. He's a great preacher, and he said this thing that my wife hates because she says it doesn't make any sense. But whatever, it makes sense to me. He says, men of God. He was talking to men, but I would apply it to all. Pray until you can pray, and then pray until you have prayed. And I think that's a really, really good instructional thing for me, that I want to pray until all the other stuff kind of gets out of my mind and I can focus on my intimate relationship with God and us having a conversation. And then I'm going to pray until it's done. And I think that there is no structure to that. And I think that as you develop the discipline of prayer, when you're done praying. Yeah. And it's weird. I can't really explain it, but it's like, okay, thanks God. That was great. That was a great conversation. And now I can go on about my day. You don't have to feel that. You don't have to feel that inadequacy or feel like you're not checking the boxes or whatever. That's why I would be against formulaic prayer, but not necessarily against it, but it's not the best thing. But I would love for people to pray with a guide, because it helps them stay until they're praying.
Right.
And that's what it does for me, is I pray with a guide until I know I'm talking with God, and then I stay there as long as I need to. So that really doesn't answer how often, but I would say how often do you want to talk to your wife? How often do you want to talk to your dad? If you can have those kind of times every day, I think you're going to have a better relationship with him. And he's kind of like the king of the universe that's able to do all things. And so probably important to try to develop that a bit.
So the real question is, when do you pray for food? Is it before the appetizer?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Before the main course?
Apps don't count.
Yeah.
And sides don't count
Do
either.
you have to
what is
pray
it like
again
if
dessert?
If you need to
how
dip,
does
you
it
can
go?
let it slip, or what is it? I can't remember.
That's a good one.
I don't know. This salad. Nah, I mean, God doesn't need to bless the salad. Chips, anything like that. I mean,
protein.
Just the protein. Yeah. Once you got to main course,
just the meat.
Yeah.
So you're saying vegans don't pray? Is that what we're saying?
They ain't Christian.
Obviously. Just kidding. JK out there. Shout out Sarah Erickson. I don't know if she's
How many more people can we offend in one day?
seriously.
Wow.
Yeah. I think
What
the
a
cool
day.
thing about, and I know you said you don't think that's the answer to the question. I think you hit it nail on the head. The point is, it's the wrong question to ask, right?
yeah.
We're asking for a prescriptive, like what religious duty can I fulfill, or what can I do to do this right? Like we're asking the wrong question.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's like, how often do you want to talk to your wife? The cool thing is, I put this in the notes too, but I love this this quote from Pray First, Chris Hodges. Thank you. Telling you, one
Not
of these
affiliated
days,
yet.
we're gonna leave the show, and I'm gonna have an email from Chris Hodges,
Cease and
like
desist.
himself.
Cease and desist.
That's so far from him. If you know him, he's like give everything away. So
Right? Yeah, it's never gonna happen. But he's got this quote, and I haven't read the whole
We've
book
got to
yet.
blur the book when he holds it up.
We'll blur it in post. It's all good. But he's got this great quote in Pray First. It says, "Prayer is that access point where heaven touches earth, where we maintain our lifeline with our Creator, our Savior, and our Redeemer." Right? So if you think about like how often to pray, it's like I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, think about who you're praying to, right? And then ask yourself again, right? And what I love about that is there's no wrong answer. Like, oh, I only prayed twice this week. Like, all right, well, you can probably do better, but you're not wrong. Like,
And you know what we're terrible at the church is we're terrible at saying things like you need to have a daily devotion and you need to have a daily prayer. And what people take away from that is, okay, if I got 6 out of 7 fail, like F, I think that's, again, wrong thinking. And I'll tell you,
We talked about that a couple weeks ago, right?
as a pastor, I will tell you, I do not have a dedicated prayer time every day. That doesn't happen. We all have kids, we all have families, things happen. And there are those out there that are better than I am and don't let other stuff get in the way. But I'm just being honest. That doesn't happen every single week, every single day. It has for the last 17, but but that's part of the reason I'm doing it, you know. But I would say don't beat yourself up. I mean, it is a relationship, and don't beat yourself up. Yes, we should shoot for specific intimate times 7 days out of 7. But good grief. I mean, that's not the point.
Yeah.
God's not pleased with sacrifices. He's looking for your heart. So.
Yeah. Well, so right along with that, right, we don't have time to cover all these questions. I'm sure there's more questions, and everybody has questions, but I think we're covering the basics of it. Is what would you say to people that say, I hear this a lot, I don't have time to pray?
Wrong.
I agree.
You got the wrong mask.
That's the best
I can't remember
answer.
who it was. I want to say it's George Washington, but that's probably just because I'm being influenced by the early.
That's all our inauguration trivia.
No, it wasn't. It was somebody else. It was a Christian.
I think it was John Wesley.
Washington was a Christian, but
Yeah, it was.
was it Wesley?
I think you're thinking John Wesley.
I don't know.
John Wesley or Martin Luther?
So
I think you're thinking one of them.
Somebody said, you know, they prayed an hour every day, and there was a really, really busy day. So somebody asked him, "Are you going to be able to get your hour in?" He's like, "Well, it's a very busy day, so I need 2 hours."
Yeah.
You know, and the idea, obviously, there is that
You find time for what's important.
well, and you can't afford not to. That's the highest priority.
Yeah.
And I would say that above even the communication with your wife or your dad or your mom or your kids, you have to have that. I would also say our God is a generous God, and one of the things that Americans fail at is overscheduling.
Yeah.
And I think that if you've been in any other culture for any amount of time, you know that not many cultures are like our culture. I mean, not many people are sun up to sundown every 10 minutes, have to be on time. And we do that to ourselves. And so it doesn't have to be the way it is. And our God is a generous God. He will provide the time if you are looking for it. And if you're not looking for it, you're not going to have time.
Yeah.
But he will provide the time if you're looking for it. And really, who needs another half an hour of sleep? I mean,
I'm learning how
Sleep when
little
you're
sleep I
dead.
actually need. I'm finding out how little sleep I really need now. I thought I didn't need a lot of sleep before now.
you know what the thing is, though, and I think this is like technology and phone and, you know, even communication. You know the time that if you set a time to pray and you say, well, I'm going to be right next to my computer, or I'm going to have my phone with me, or whatever, that time's going to go away. It's going to go away by distraction. You're going to be moved into something else. I'm going to pray in the same room that my kids are getting ready for school. No, you're not, because they're going to be
war zone at my house anyway.
They'll call you into that, and so you will set yourself up for that distracted thing if you don't say, okay, here's the place I'm going to get away to. So that's what I would say. I don't know.
We had prayer time last night for worship practice, and I noticed this stupid watch. Every time it buzzed, I'd do that, and I'm like, I got to take this thing off. So I had to take it off just to allow myself to shut it down for a minute.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I do
Not
the
that
same
I'm
thing
that
when I'm
great.
watching the Dolphins play, and I'm about 5 minutes behind, and someone's like texting me. I'll just throw everything away. But if I can do that for the Dolphins, I should be able to do that for guys.
right.
So.
You didn't get any texts this past Sunday, did
Not
you?
at all.
About
Not
the
a single
Dolphins
one.
game?
I got a couple.
Not a
Sweet.
single.
Were the Dolphins not playing?
Jerk. Yeah, they were not.
John-
Don't know if you caught the joke, but yeah, they weren't playing this.
Oh, okay. Well, we're a baseball team, right?
I don't think they played all year. to
I
be
don't
honest with
think the Bears played this
you.
weekend
No,
either.
the Bears didn't play all year.
All I know is this is the best the Lions have ever been in my entire life, and I wish I was a better
That
better
was-
football fan.
That salvaged the season for me when they lost.
Oh boy.
So,
Ouch.
Then you stole their coach.
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
Good deal.
that's what happens.
Good deal.
John put it in the chat. I think it sums up what we were trying to talk about pretty well. I've heard it said, wake up addressing God and go to bed with an amen.
It's good.
That's good. Way to go, John. We need to get John. I think John's been on the show before.
You should be here
It's been a while.
instead of me.
You need to give him a job at the church.
That's right.
Well, we
do.
already figured that out earlier.
We have an assistant lined
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, we figured it out. We made him full time, and then we hired him an assistant too.
That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great.
So the paperwork's on your desk.
Okay.
If you just,
Well,
when we're done, just finish that up. I think if we can distill it down, I think the overarching thing when it comes to prayer is, you have to decide to pray, right? And you have to decide to make it intentional. Like you have to pray. It's not just gonna. You're not going to have time to pray. Like you have to set it aside. I think you hit it. Like we're busy people, right? But we're busy because we make ourselves busy, right? And how easy. I think we were talking the other day about 21 days is habit. It's part of the reason we do 21 days of prayer and fasting is to help spur you on in that. And I can't remember who I was talking to. It might have been Courtney. We were talking about like. What habits are gonna come out of this, and I'll tell you, getting up at 4:30 is not gonna be one of them, right? But it's not gonna be that early, right?
Yeah.
It's not gonna be that. But probably the coolest thing that's happened for me through this 21 days is one, I'm realizing I don't actually need as much sleep as I get, and if I know I'm gonna intentionally get up early, it forces me to be more disciplined about going to bed, right? And it's those little things, that little simple discipline has helped me to be able to actually pray.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you guys, I mean, we've all done this. If you get in a habit for a certain period of time, you say, well, we're going to do a fast and prayer for a month or whatever. The moment that you stop those things, you miss it. And I think that's, that's what people that don't really ever have that prayer life don't really understand. It does take, you do the do's until it's fun to do the do's. And I think that people don't always get to that point, and then you miss it. Then you're like, oh, that was life-giving. That was different than what I expected. So anyway.
You guys say you're going to miss it, but Monday morning next week, we're sleeping in, right?
No, I'm talking about the prayer time itself. I'm sleeping in. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, well, it would be, it's the only, this is the first time I've ever had to get up earlier during the week than on Sundays.
Like on Sunday, you're like, yes.
Yeah, I get an extra hour of sleep on Sundays right now. It's fantastic. So, but I will say, I'm glad we're doing this. When you first mentioned it and mentioned that staff was required, I'm not going to lie, you were not my favorite person. I'm probably not the only one, right?
No, definitely not. I've been told you weren't the only one by the people that were upset.
Right. But I think everybody on our staff would say it's been beneficial and it's been good to be here. I think everybody that's come, I think, has enjoyed it, and it's been meaningful. And I'm glad we're going to do it again, because I know we're going to do it again. I have no doubt that we'll do it again. I think we've learned some things, but I think we're going to do it again. I think it's beneficial, and it's kind of given me an opportunity to think like, okay, I should probably do these things on my own, right? Because I will say it is a whole lot easier when I have to do it, right? It makes it easy.
Cool to work for a place that says, well, you have to spend time with God this morning.
Well,
I'm thankful for that.
It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's been a good thing. But I will say, if you're listening out there and you're thinking like, all right, I know I should pray. This is good content. This is good things. I know I should do these things, but I don't know how to start. The easiest thing in the world you can do is download the Pray First app. It's a fantastic app. We talked a little bit about it last week. Great thing. We've been using it on a lot of these mornings. I think we have a lot of folks that are praying through it. I know you've talked about using it in the past. My 11-year-old, he came with us one morning, and I sat him down with my iPad, and he prayed through the whole tabernacle prayer. The coolest thing in the world.
That is awesome.
It was really cool to see him do it, and he loved it. He thought it was so cool. And
see, this is I love this question. The other ones I didn't have much for, but this one I gotta say, this one's huge because you can be in the church for a real long time, and not know how to pray. And this is so interesting because you would think it'd be natural, just part of the maturing of a Christian. But the disciples who are walking with Jesus and assuming, that they believed in God a lot of their life, and they're like, how do you pray? Like, we see you pray, and then we're like, we don't know how to do that. So, I mean, how hard is it? Well, it is challenging. And so this is one of the things that's kind of like catapulted the fun I have in prayer, and that's why I highly recommend that book, is because not just that, but the principles that are taught there. And Corinne touched on it too in her own way, because I don't think she's read this book, but it's something the Lord revealed to her as well. you need to learn how to pray. What are you praying for? What are the things that God loves in a prayer from his children? You know, like we sing the song "Worthy of It All." Let incense day and night, let incense arise. And what is it that pleases God when you pray? And once you're there, it's like, oh, that's what praying is, you know. And it's not just, okay, God, thank you for everything. Now let me give you the list, because then you can end up, and I do still. Because I'm human and fallible, you start thinking about, I'm going to pray for this thing that I really need some money for. I wonder how I could fix that problem. Oh, I could go talk to that person. And all of a sudden, you're not talking to God. You're just thinking about your problems. But this idea of we actually need the discipline of knowing what to say. And I think that if anybody wants to get anything out of this, which they probably have all turned it off already, but
16 right now.
Whoa.
On Facebook alone.
Whoa. Well, if there's anything that I would say that praying with scriptures, like Corinne talked about, like Chris Hodges talks about, and following those patterns will open up prayer to you. You can spend, believe it or not, you can spend 20 or 30 minutes worshiping God for who he is without knowing what's going on time-wise. I mean, you can, like, I've done it before, and I'm not saying I ain't special, y'all. I'm from Franklin County. It ain't nothing special going on. Brandon knows, Cody knows. Anyway, I can look at the time and say, holy moly, I need to get on with this prayer thing, because I've spent so much time talking about how awesome God is to him, like worshiping him. And that's a game changer. It's an absolute game changer. And it starts with, hey, Jesus, teach me how to pray. And then he says, okay, do this. And or like reading David, and he prays. And then, or reading the other places where the Holy Spirit has given us prayers to pray. And there's fast prayers, the prayer of Jabez I talked about on Sunday night. I mean, you can pray that in 5 minutes, and it can be so powerful. It can change your life. There's really long prayers. The tabernacle prayer takes me an hour to pray, at least, if I do the whole thing. And so, I mean, that should be like a critical thing. It's like if I had to teach Christianity 101, I would teach, like, that's how you pray, because that intimacy is life-changing for sure.
Yeah. It's been fantastic. It's been really cool. And I'll tell you, especially the app, if you're a real visual person.
Yeah.
The app is great. They have a lot of good visuals with it. It gives you some explanation. You can pray through it like in a guided way. You can pray through it on your own. It's been
you
fantastic.
Search Pray First, right? I mean, it's like one of the first ones.
It's in there. You'll recognize it. Highlands is great. They make it easy to show up. If you're
nice to be the second biggest church in the world, or in the U.S., whatever.
Yeah, we'll take it. That's all right. But yes, Pray First, Chris Hodges. Pick up the book. It's a great resource. At least the first 2 chapters are good. I'm assuming the rest is good. I haven't got the rest of it yet, but download that Pray First app if you need a little bit of help praying, need that guide. Even if you feel like you have a great prayer life, download the app, give it a shot. Like, it's not going to make it worse, right?
And you don't have to read the book. The prayer guide has the guides of prayer in it. It's I mean, yeah.
Right.
Throw the book away.
We'll get rid
Just
of that.
use the prayer guides.
There's an app. We don't need that book. Sorry, Chris.
If you're not a reader, I'm saying it's a very good read, easy read.
Right. Yeah. Download that app. It's great. If you go to parkerroanoke.com/21days, we have also created a Parkway prayer guide as well. A lot of the same content. It's a lot of good stuff. So if you want to have that as well, you go to parkerroanoke.com/21days. You can download our prayer guide as well. We want to just put on another invite. If you've not joined us yet, or if you've kind of been on the fence about joining us for prayer, we want to invite you. We've got a few more days left. We're going through Saturday. It'll be our last morning prayer time.
You know what? Also, if you're not a morning person, another benefit to the Pray First app is that they have the actual hour-long prayer services right there at the top every day, and it's a new one every day.
Yeah.
And you can actually 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you can click that and do an hour-long prayer service with them. So kind of a neat tool and resource for sure.
Yeah. So there's very little excuses.
Yeah.
Right. There's no excuses. I don't know how to pray.
The age of technology is wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. We can use it for good, or we can just scroll TikTok all day. I mean,
well, you can't scroll TikTok anymore.
No. I never have.
It's back for the time being.
It's back.
Oh,
yeah.
It's back.
Oh, is it
Man.
back? Oh, that's cool.
Apparently.
I was worried.
I never
I
missed
was real
it.
worried for a while.
Longest
rough.
show in history, I think.
Something like that.
I'm sorry.
That's a good long one.
No surprise.
Who'd have thought? See,
Yeah.
That's why there's only one front page.
That's right.
Yes. So, hey, Dustin, thanks so much for joining us. First time, last time. Probably not last time.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
It was fun.
Huh?
I enjoyed him being here.
It's good to have you guys, right? I was telling guys, like, this is the first time we've had to have, like, all 4 chairs around the table in a while.
Pushed in here.
And it's good. It's been good. So, hey, thanks so much for joining us. You have made it good. Thanks for joining us on Facebook, YouTube. Do you guys know we're on Twitch? Do you know that?
I don't even know what a Twitch is.
I don't either.
Exactly.
What is?
I get those if I
Hold
don't drink
on.
enough water.
Ask that question later.
You guys are too old to understand that. That's all right. But we're live, on Church Online, all those things. So thanks so much for joining us. Hey, if you're thinking if this has been good, if it's even if you're thinking it's not been good, we'd love for you to share this with somebody. Hit that share button on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're at. Share the link with somebody. Share the link with somebody to the morning prayer services. They're out there on a Church Online platform. You can watch those, anytime throughout the day. They're around. So, or you download the Pray First app. You can join in with their prayer service as well. I think they're doing theirs like 7 a.m. So, get a little extra sleep. That's okay too. All right.
And if you thought it was bad, come to Equip tonight and tell us.
Right? Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I'm the plug
Equip
guy.
starts tonight. Oh, I was gonna not mention Equip because there are way too many people in Equip already. Like,
Equip starts in March, right?
yes, Equip
Yeah.
starts in March. It's gonna be
Don't
good.
come.
ParkerRoanoke.com/equip. But hey, again, thanks so much for joining us, Dustin. Thanks for joining us. It's good. The position of the church is good. It's good to be at Parkway. More than anything, it's good to be in a place that is a part of the Big C Church and doing kingdom work. Right? Not
We
just
talked for
Parkway.
an hour about prayer and we didn't pray.
We did not pray. But we prayed at 6 a.m. So that's
Amen.
okay. But
Amen.
thanks so much for joining us. Another week of Midweek Motivation. Have a great week and stay motivated.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, when you're feeling down and motivated in the midweek, we got the guys here to make your life complete. Little John, Brandon, Cody, Carly, they're coming in to keep you motivated all week. New episode, same time every week. Don't gotta wait long for the next one to release. So don't go away, sit down, take a seat, enjoy Midweek Motivation with John and Carly. Hey.
Midweek Motivation.
Let's go!